Hello again, everybody. Chris Campbell here in the clock shop. So we're still working on this old Ogee clock, and I've set up a little quick tutorial for those who are newcomers in clock making, clock repairs that may struggle with setting up the strike side of a clock movement. Setting up the strike side of a clock movement seems to be the challenge for a lot of people who are getting started into clock repairs, and even for some avid and more advanced clock people. So I'm going to share with you how we set up an Ogee clock such as this and break it down a little bit more for you. Now what I've done is put the cam wheel on the inside as if it was already in the movement. We've got the cam levers in place, but I've put the count wheel on the outside of the movement to demonstrate this, and I've just set the governor on the outside also. Now, when setting up the strike side of a clock movement, there's three things that has to happen in order for everything to work in the way it should be, or in sync. If any one of these gears are out of their place, it's not going to work, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. First, we're going to start with the count wheel, which is the wheel here that counts the strikes of the hour. First and foremost, you have to put this in the right position. If you reverse the wheel, it will strike backwards. So it'll do 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 on the hour. So it's important that you watch when you disassemble the movement that you put it in the right way so that it strikes the proper 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Alright, this count lever that's going inside the movement must fit inside of a deep notch of the count wheel. Not on one of the shallow ones on the outer side, but in a deep notch. That's the first part of setting it up. Number two, this other wheel that's inside is called the cam wheel. There is a piece right here inside this other piece that has a hook on it. That hook has to fit inside of the slot of the cam wheel. It has to be locked in place. If it's not locked in place and it's off, then the clock is just going to continue to strike until the weight of the power runs out. Number three, the governor has a small hook on it. This piece here. When you're setting up the clock, this piece needs to be pointing in the 1 o'clock direction. So when it's inside of the movement, locked in place, you want it to be positioned at the 1 o'clock. Well, if I can get it to stand up, well, just do it like that. At the 1 o'clock position. Now, if any of those are out of position, it will not work. So I'm going to show you exactly how the count lever hooks into the cam of the second wheel. So I'm going to pick up the movement and flip it over. Okay. This is the cam wheel, and right here is the cam. The rod that's running up through here, let's see, I'm going to use this as my little lever. As you see, that little hook has to go inside of this little slot. Once it's in that slot, it's locked in place and cannot advance until it goes into strike mode and raises up. Once it raises up, then the wheel can rotate. And once it comes back around to that notch, it drops and locks. And now it will not advance because now the cam wheel and the cam lock are both locked. Okay? So that's the part that a lot of people struggle with when setting up one of these strike movements, especially American made. They can be very difficult because you have all the gears on one side and you have to set up and rotate and move a gear into position, which will make the other gears on the time side come loose, and it can be very frustrating. So the best way to do it is to lock these wheels in place using either Rodico or some sort of putty. while you split the plate just slightly and orient the gears to where they're in their right position and lock them in place. As you lock them in place, then you can put your screws or your pins in the post. And once everything is lined up the way it should be and locked, then you can remove the Rodico from this side and everything will be set up. So that's a quick little demonstration on how to set up the gear part of a time and strike side movement of an American clock. We still have a little ways to go, but I'm going to be sharing that with you, and I hope you enjoyed. If you need any clock or watch repair, come see me at Campbell's Antique Clock and Watch Repair, where we'll get you back in time in no time. Have a wonderful evening.